Would you be able to stay friends with someone who cheated on their partner? Why? Story 1. We recently had a situation like this. A dude, we's probably reading this, came out that he had been cheating on his then pregnant wife with a much younger woman he met. They already had 2 kids. The wife, W, was like 8 months pregnant, asked him to stop, and they might could work things out, but the dude went all in on the new side piece and moved out. So he takes me out for beers to come clean. I knew something was up, but I didn't know the details. I explained W bad his timing was, and that it's perfectly fine to leave your spouse, relatively speaking, but that this was not the way to do it. He gave me some sob story about W he's sleeping on a friend's couch and miserable and just wants to make better sices. I write him a long text the next morning telling him we're there to help him and to reiterate that he needs to at least end it with this chick. Then, I talk to another friend W tells me that's all BS and he's moved in with the other woman. I could have maybe stuck around to help him through whatever it was, but I'm not going to hang out and be lied to. So that was the end of that. Story 2. Super dependent on the specifics of the situation. I can be friends with someone W has done bad things, but if they're unwilling to acknowledge their fault or take whatever actions might be warranted to mend some of the hurt they've caused, that's a red flag about their character as a human being. Story 3. Yes, because while I don't agree with the mistake they made, it was still a mistake and they're still my friend. My job as their friend isn't to agree with everything they do. It's to be there with them as they grow. And yes, I'm speaking from experience based on working with my best friend throughout that dark part of her life. Story 4. Depends on the circumstances. There's many reasons why people may stray outside their marriage. There's many reasons people get married in the first place. Story 5. It really depends. I've ended friendships because they cheated and had some continue despite cheating. It really depends on the circumstances and what happens after. If they take responsibility for what happened, SW genuine remorse, and work to change, I will be there to support them. If they try to defend their behavior or don't SW a concerted effort to grow from their failure, I'm out. Story 6. No, I wouldn't. This is something my partner and I have been arguing about semi-recently. We have these friends WW are a couple. They moved back to the guy's me town, and about 6 months later it comes out he had been cheating on her since they moved back. She decides to stay with him. I want to completely cut ties, but my partner doesn't. His argument is that it's not our business. My argument is that I don't want to associate with people with morals I don't agree with. Story 7. It would depend entirely on the individuals involved, their relationship to me, and the circumstances around it. This issue, like most of life, is not a black and white situation as much as so many people like to act like it is. If it's a casual acquaintance, I may distance myself from them. If it's my lifelong best friend W has always been there for me, yeah, I'm not going to abandon them because of it, especially if I know the relationship had problems. Doesn't mean I won't tell them they did something but I'm not going to give up a person who is very important to me because they screwed up. Story 8. No, I wouldn't. If they can't respect the person they're supposed to value the most, then W can I expect them to respect me? Much lower down in the chain. Story 9. No, I have no sympathy for cheaters. It's not a mistake. It's a sicey to betray someone you made a commitment to. If they can do that, what else are they capable of? Story 10. Yes, cheating on somebody is unbelievably and would affect W I view somebody, and I definitely think there are circumstances where a cheating situation could be ed up enough that I would peace out. But it's cheating. It's not murder. It is some of the worst stuff that normal, everyday people ever put each other through. But it's not the worst thing in the universe. Story 11. I have once. They came clean themselves. It happened when they worked away for months. It made our relationship rough for a while, but he definitely regretted it and has done his best to be a better person since, so our relationship got better in time, and he's one of my closest friends. One of the few I hang out with one-on-one from that friend group still. People make mistakes. He had a CC between continuing his behavior or being a better person, and he CSC the second. It definitely took time, but we got there. He and the girl are still friends. Similar situation. It took time, but she forgave him, but reasonably CSE to move on romantically. I think what matters is W people respond. There needs to be growth after. I will not stay friends with somebody who can betray somebody's trust like that, but I may if they vehemently regret their actions and become a better person. Story 12. I have a friend in college. WW cheated on his. The guy also has a GF. They both cheated on their partners. Poor them. IDKW to feel at first cause what they did was really wrong. Like that was unforgivable, and they knew it. They knew what they did. I kinda lost trust on them, and after that I slowly detached myself from them. I rarely hang out with them and realize they're the toxic one. And now I don't socialize with them anymore lol. Story 13. Yes, I would. In fact, that is not one of the very few things that I would allow myself to pee moralistic judgments about, especially when it comes to the very few people I call friends in my life. Story 14. I did for a few years. She started due to low self-esteem and postpartum depression. When I found out about it, she was 6 months into her first affair and already broken. I had some PE for her as there were flashes of guilty conscience because her husband was a great guy and treated her like a queen. She was my friend, so I tried to help her snap out of the validation-seeking mindset and recommit to her marriage, but she was too far gone and started dating every attractive guy W paid attention to her. I gave up when she tried to get me to her, despite repeatedly telling her no. I felt bad for her, but had to cut contact. Last I heard she was divorced and shacked up with a bartender W treats her like. Story 15. Dealing with this now. She cheated on her husband with her best friend's husband some years ago. However, she talked about the best friend constantly to me for years, after she slept with him, about W paranoid and psych she is. The friend finds out after badgering her husband about it for years. He admits it and she goes on blast. I'm gearing up to delete block all of them at this point. BC, I cannot support lying liars in any capacity. Story 16. I've made a point of not being friends with cheaters to start with. I was friends with one when I found out this person cheated routinely and also treated the other person badly, not abuse. And I did stop being friends with said person. Story 17. No, I don't think I could stay friends with someone W cheated. It's a fundamental betrayal of trust, and it would change my perception of my friend too much. I would find it hard to trust them again, and it's likely our friendship would suffer as a result. Story 18. I'm open to befriending individuals who have made mistakes. It becomes concerning if they refuse to acknowledge their wrongdoing or take steps to address the harm they've caused. Story 19. Usually, no. If their romantic partner can't trust them, W can I? Depends on the WLE situation, I'm in my 30s, so if I met someone who cheated on their high school sweetheart but have been completely loyal to every partner since then, I can pardon the behavior because they learned their lesson. But if I had a friend W had asterisk recently asterisk cheated, nope, you're still learning your lesson, and it won't be through the mistake of betraying me. I'ma call you on your and walk TF away. Story 20 context is important. I have a friend W was in an extremely toxic relationship that she could not get out of, and after years of emotional abuse, she stepped out. I didn't fault her for it and was actually kind of grateful because it helped give her strength to divorce her Thai husband. Story 21. Probably not. Trust is a big deal for me, and if they can cheat on their partner was to say they wouldn't betray me too, it just makes things complicated. Story 22. Friends are like family to me. You don't just leave family for making a mistake. Well, you're not there to tolerate it, but you can inspire them to make a change. Story 23. Nah, I wouldn't work with this. Mate, if you cheat with the person with W you share your feelings, emotions, and the least of all your bed with, only God knows what you would do to me given the chance. Story 24. Yeah, I had a friend in high school. W was always jumping around from one relationship to another, and also cheated on them. She didn't seem to get her together till she dated a mutual friend of ours, and still, I was leery of her decisions. I did let her know that her behavior didn't fly with me. Story 25. If you can cheat on your romantic partner, you can cheat me out on our friendship. I look at it. Only way I can, maybe consider staying friends if they own up to it and tell their partners, and actually put the effort into it by not doing it again and being a different. Story 26. My best friends in life I have known since childhood. None of them would ever do something like this, but if they did, I would help them figure their out. Story 27. Yes, I will still be there for my friends even when they make mistakes. I will not support it, and I will tell them it is wrong because that is my job as a friend. If people gave up on their friends when they make mistakes, I wouldn't have any friends either. Humans can be Thai and we need to push each other to be better. Story 28. Kinda mind-boggling who okay people are with cheating if their friends do it. I hate cheating as a WLE, doesn't matter if it's a friend or a family member. I think it's a huge betrayal of trust and a disgusting act to do to someone. I can't be friends with people if their morals don't align with mine, and no matter how good a friendship is, if you can betray the person you sought out for life, what does a measly friendship mean to them? Story 29. Most probably. If someone is cheating, most probably the relationship isn't going anywhere anyway. I would neither advise or approve it, but it's a matter between partners, not between friends. Story 30. No, absolutely the not. They've made it clear that they see people close to them as disposable objects, and that they see abuse as okay if it's beneficial to them. And if they deem all of that okay for their SO, the person supposedly most important and closest to them, then what does that say they think of their other friends? I cut them off full stop. They lose my respect insta RLY and they'll never get it back. Stop enabling abusers even if you weren't their victim asterisk this time. Asterisk. Story 31. To be Nest, I always have mixed feelings about this. A friend is a friend. People make mistakes, but I cannot stand people who excuse ribble behavior. If they've messed up and own up to it and suffer the repercussions, then so be it. Their karma has come to them weaver. If they make jokes about it and think it's a laugh or lie to me about details, I personally cannot be friends with people like that. Story 32. It's not okay to cheat. That's very low standard of character. If a person isn't Nest with themselves, they're not Nest with others. It's okay to be nice to people, but I wouldn't say a cheater is my friend. Birds of a feather flock together. Story 33. As someone whose partner of almost a decade had an affair? No, I could not. Cheating usually comes with loads of emotional abuse, and I don't want to be friends with someone who can do that to someone they supposedly love. How would I ever trust them? Story 34. I have two close friends who are married. I know for a fact that both of them have cheated on their wives before. Many times, I don't approve, and I have voiced the fact that I don't approve, but that's as far as my meddling goes. They were both with their wives before they met me, and I'd be willing they were like that right from the beginning. That's they are, and they ain't gonna change. Story 35. Personally, I have never cheated, although I've had a couple of close calls where I was very tempted. I have known plenty of good people who have cheated tuch. I have known some pretty terrible people who would never cheat, or at the very least are very vocal about against it they are. I have known a bunch of people who hated cheaters but eventually cheated on someone. Most people I have known were serial cheaters were not great people, but I have known a few were in most other ways kind and good-hearted. It seems to me that cheating is potentially a very good metric on if you should date someone, but a poor metric of morality. While often it is just people being hurt, I also find that sometimes the degree anger people towards it is not coming from a good place. Story 36. I'm in my late 20s and my take is, a one-time thing when they were like 17 and they feel really bad about it and would never do it again? Sure. Relatively recent or they had a pattern of it? Fuck no. I only want to be friends with people we were Nest, trustworthy, care about other people, and have integrity. Story 37. Oh God, no. If I find out you're a cheater, I'm out. If you would cheat on someone you care about, you have no character and are completely untrustworthy. Story 38. My definition of friend is pretty simple. Someone WSE company or oceation makes us both the better for it, and who is willing to engage in this relationship of friendship. If by staying a friend to them, I can inspire them to be a better person, and in turn receive the societal and emotional benefits of having a friend, then that's the morally and practically correct thing to do. Breaking the friendship doesn't improve anything. Friendships are usually a net positive to happiness, and you won't be making them a better person by doing so. Quite possibly the opposite, in fact. Still, my trust in them would decrease, and I wouldn't confide in them as many things or rely on them as much as before until they've shown signs of improvement. Story 39. No. If something is wrong in their relationship, they can either work on fixing it or break up, divorce. Someone wabu doesn't have the courage to confront problems and to voice what is bothering them or introspect and take responsibility cannot be a friend of mine. The betrayal of another person is the symptom of that, and also one I do not forgive. A cheater knows the hurt they're causing, and their ego, escape is more important to them, so they don't care. Does not align with my moral comp. Story 40. Depending on the context, sure. Being someone's friend doesn't mean I approve of everything they do. It doesn't mean I agree with them on every belief. I've got friends on the other side of the political spectrum, friends who have committed felonies and done jail time, friends where we don't think anyone should have kids. I have kids. Are they my best friends? Hell no. Would I keep hanging out with someone who regularly bragged about much they liked cheating on their partners? Absolutely not. People are human and make mistakes tough. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to disown someone for something that happened in a relationship I have no part in. Story 41. A true friend will be Nest with you and critique your behavior, but will stay by your side even after you've done things, as long as you're willing to grow and take accountability. That's the point of friendship. Our job isn't to be the moral police of our friends, but to guide them to do the right thing and to be their best self, because we know they can. If we taught our friends weren't capable of redemption, then they wouldn't be our friends, right? My advice is to try to empathize with your friend. Understand why they did what they did. Is this common behavior for them, or are they struggling with something? Are they capable and willing to be better? As their friend, you should SW them that you believe that they can do better, and they will. If not, then maybe question why you were friends in the first place. Story 42. I have friends that have cheated. I tell them very clearly that what they did isn't a mistake, it's a sicey. I ask them about why they made that sicey. Some of DSE people aren't my friends anymore, and it's either because they revealed their reasons were borderline evil, or didn't want to say them because they knew it'd make them look bad, or they just didn't think about it and acted on impulse. The ones that I'm still friends with could always point to a specific reason or flaw, one that was entirely within their partner's control, and the patience to PE they do better or fix their behavior just runs out. They're also the ones that have cheated once, and only once, and moved on to be in healthy relationships where they don't want to cheat. Story 43, yes or no, depending on the situation. If their relationship was Thai anyway, I could forgive him. He's not banging me anyway. Sorry for not aligning to self-righteous Reddit standards, but I am going to prioritize my friends over absolutist standards. Story 44. My ex-fiancé had an emotional affair with a classmate of hers, and while friendly and sharing many interests in the same things, the betrayal, even tuck it wasn't physical, made me yearn to cut every connection I have or have had with her. The memories, even the dopamine rush I still get when we talk or share a smile, pulls me back into a time where I gave her my complete trust and full heart. But the moment is fleeting, and every time I slump back into the cavity, she left when we called it quits, falling jaggedly on the broken trust that now plagues me to this day. I know that pain, and whether it is done to me or another person, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. If they'd betray someone they loved, what would they do their friends? It's my personal asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Never forget asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Story 45. This happened to me, and I wasn't able to stay friends with the cheater. They just seemed so fake and artificial from then on. They never apologized for their actions, just ran with it, and never looked back. The WL time I was thinking, if they did this to their life partner, what would they do to their normal friends? Story 46. If you abandon your friends after they something Thai, I believe they'll simply double down. If you stick by them, you can help them right the ship, which ultimately is good for you, an act of kindness. For them, they become a better person, and the people they interact with, less likely to get hurt. People where abandoned will continue to do hurtful, hateful things. Story 47. I didn't think I ever would, but a guy I've known for over 20 years now was in a marriage that had gone pretty bad. They were sleeping in separate rooms of the use, and it was pretty clear she wanted out, but he was still trying to make it work. Then, one day, he met a woman at the gym was in a similarly bad marriage, and they became friends. Then they oaked up before either of them had actually split from their respective partners. They are now divorced from their former partners and engaged to be married. I wish he had officially split from his then-wife before moving into another relationship, but I don't really eld it against him. I don't have much PE for their relationship, tuh. They both know that the other is not above cheating if things aren't going well. It's like the trope of the secretary W becomes her boss's second wife after he cheated on his first wife with her. Can she really trust him around the new secretary? Story 48. Nope. Been there. They would usually give some sob stories about the cheating happened, them wanting to fix everything blah blah, only for them to continue doing the cheating. There's so many loopholes in their stories that once you reminded them of what has been said, they forget, change their script. If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Story 49. No, I wouldn't. Trust is crucial in any relationship, and cheating breaks that trust. It would be hard to maintain a friendship knowing they betrayed someone's trust in such a significant way. Story 50. It happened to me. I'm still her friend. It's their relationship. I don't have to get involved in that. I can only give my point of view that what she does seems wrong to me. And since they had a distance relationship, then she tut that she wasn't so bad. Story 51. No, it's such a bad trait, and SUA has a huge lack of respect for your significant other. It's not like that will be their only bad trait if they do this. I had a guy at work cheated several times a month for years with different girls on his fiancé, and they had 3 kids. He seemed nice, but once you got to know his bad sides, he was really an... Story 52. To cheat on their SUA is their values they allayed. SUA is their character, which I can't respect or trust. This behavior wouldn't be limited to just romantic relationships. Story 53. What's that saying? You are the average of your 5 closest friends. No, I would not stay friends with a cheater. I think it's one of the absolute cruelest things you can do to someone you vowed to love. I don't need people like that in my life, and I would not keep their secrets. Story 54. No, and I've cut off a friend all the way back to kindergarten for doing so. It's disgusting, and she's living off the guy she's cheating on? I don't want that kind of deceit in my life. Story 55. No, but I'm still friends with their ex. And my wife cheated on me? I'm only social with her because of the kids. Otherwise, I'd never see or talk to her again. Story 56. I never the cheater is inherently in the wrong. They often are, but sometimes it's more complicated than that. If I hadn't stayed friends with the cheater, her marriage would have ended, I think. When someone is behaving erratically and irrationally, it's almost more important for you to, within reason, stay in their lives. I like to think I helped her see badly she was in things up, much her fling really didn't matter, and much happier she would have been if she put that energy into her husband. They're doing really well now, to a point where I see them both smile in ways I hadn't ever seen before. Some people make stupid mistakes. Story 57, absolutely not. I had a friend, best friend back then. You was constantly in search of new people to talk to, and she had many, which was fine until I introduced her to a mutual friend, and they started going out. All I asked from her was that don't cheat, partly because I didn't want to be in a position where I have to lie to my other friend, and partly due to my own family traumas. But yay, she eventually cheated twice or thrice, and now whenever I hear or see something similar in my friends, it triggers something in me which just screams, run! Story 58. When I was growing up, I would go out with my older brother's friends, and I was stunned at they would casually talk about cheating on their wives. It made me not like them. Story 59. I don't know if I could stay friends with a cheater. In my view, there is virtually no excuse to cheat, so I think the only way I could still respect and enjoy the company of someone is if their relationship had been too unsafe to leave, and they deeply regretted the infidelity. But even then, I would want them to seek support to leave instead of cheating. If it's the case of a long-term loveless relationship that you don't want to unravel your real lives, either rip the bandit off and start again, or open the relationship. You owe a long-term life partner communication and respect. I just can't think of many circumstances where I could think well of a cheater's character enough to be friends. But I don't like subscribing to absolutes, so maybe there could be a case where it would be forgivable, and I would stay to help them do better in the future. I can't say for certain. Story 60, no. Even if it was my best friend I love very much. I'd like to say my love has no boundaries when it comes to him, but it does. And this is that boundary. Cheating is effed up, and I don't condone it in the slightest. My dad has cheated on my mom for years, and even I still live with him. I try to ignore him. When I move out, I won't be telling him nor my innocent mother. Now I'm not mad at my mom like I am at my dad, but the thing is, she tried to justify his cheating. I don't want to talk to cheaters or people that justify it. Story 61. I had a friend cheated multiple times. Their partner at the time kept letting them come crawling back time and time again. The cheater would go off for a one-night stand, get caught, at the partner, and when RNY would text them up saying they were sorry and loves them and please let them come back. I could see much they were hurt each time, so I finally decided to step in and say something. I called them out on their awful behavior and what I'd like to call mental abuse of their partner. I did this right in front of an entire group of shared friend. Person swore they'd change, but inside 2 weeks was doing it again. I basically stole them. I didn't want a person like that on my life. Because a rival person is going to be a ribble person in all facets. I lost the entire friend group, because I had amazing friends, but they CSE to stay with the cheater despite everything and keep believing he'd change. Story 62, if they learned from it. Sometimes people have to go through hard knocks to learn important life. In fact, almost all of us do. Part of being a good friend is pointing out their stupidity and sticking by them. Maybe if they don't learn their lesson at all, then throw in the towel. I really dislike this new standard where any single mistake means that this person should have no friends. It's dumb. We all make mistakes. And people would drop others instantly because of mistakes are fair weather friends at best. Story 63 depends on why they cheated and by what definition. Basically, like many questionable acts, there can be context and levels. I've also had friends, WC partners, had baffling definitions of cheating, and for that matter, terrible grasp of what "we are broken up" means. In cases like that, I'm not humoring or respecting their partner X, and I don't see it as having bearing on a more reasonable relationship. Story 64. I guess it depends on the circumstances. I had a partner that I had grown to despise but was financially trapped with. Like most people, I have my vices, and I turn to getting high all the time to deal with my situation. I didn't cheat, but some people have more carnal vices than I do, and I could understand someone in my situation could have easily turned to cheating instead of drugs. Story 65, yeah. Depending on the context, and as long as I wasn't also friends with the person was cheated on. Context would include person's history, state of their relationship, depth of our friendship, vibes. Reddit has a very scorched earth policy on cheating that smacks of, at best, very low recognition of nuance in adult relationships, and, at worst, incel justice fantasies. Story 66. That one is iffy. I'm big into not jumping on a hate bandwagon. Their relationship is their business, and the person didn't cheat on me. However, someone who cheats most likely isn't a good person to start off with, so the friendship probably wouldn't be a good one to start. Story 67. Yeah, I'll tell them straight up that I think they made a mistake, and I'd talk them through that. But at the end of the day, the decisions they make in their personal lives is nothing to do with me. I'm not going to elide it against them because, like it or not, people screw up constantly. Story 68. This certainly wasn't the sole specific reason I stopped being friends with them. There was a WLE slew of reasons, but to sum it up, they basically had no empathy for other people. They would constantly do things that are hurtful to other people. Strangers usually and not give a... We got an Airbnb once and they were loud all night, smoking in the place. And when we had people knock on our door complaining about noise, they swore at them and closed the door in their face. I felt like I was a worse person when I was around them. I told them this. They didn't seem to understand the concept of their actions impact other people. I was good friends with their partner, now wife, and I had a hard time being around her now, knowing what happened. But ultimately, I broke off the friendship because they were just a Thai person. Story 69. If it was my absolute best friends, I'd have a hard time seeing them as the same person. There would probably end up being a lot of tension distance between us, subconsciously, but I wouldn't GS my friend for that. If it was part of a friend group, I'd side with the one Bubba got cheated on tough. Story 70. Not exactly the situation you asked, but one of my friends was heavily considering cheating on his at the time girlfriend because she was going to be out of town for work for a few months. There were multiple instances of different parts of the friend group telling him that it would be the stupidest thing he ever did because he referred to her as the one. They ended up mutually breaking up in the end. If he wasn't already in that tier, he'd definitely have been downgraded to the friend I enjoy hanging out with, but will only share very limited info about my personal life tier. He's already in that tier because he's shared things with me that were shared to him in confidence, which I know because the people who had shared that info with him also shared it with me and told me that I was not to tell anyone. But to more directly answer your question, if he had decided to cheat, we would have all told him what an idiot he was and held him accountable for it. I personally wouldn't be sharing anything I wouldn't share publicly with everyone myself with him. Story 71. Cheating is never okay. That said, I think it's a case-by-case basis. In every instance, I would likely distance myself a bit from said friend, but I DK if it's inherently a reason to end a friendship. In certain cases, I'd end the friendship. For example, if I'm also friends with their spouse, if my spouse is friends with their spouse, if they have kids with their spouse, if they cheat with someone that is married, and if they cheat with someone that is married with kids. In other cases, it's not my business to police my friends. If they're going to up their own lives and relationships, then that's on them. I'd say cheating on a spouse definitely sets a precedent, which means I wouldn't let them watch my kids or lend them money or anything of that matter, but I would still probably grab a drink with someone who cheated on their spouse. Story 72, kind of. I had a friend cheat on her husband for several months. She finally told her husband and wanted to work it out. They got pregnant not long after, and then she left him for a woman. She's unstable, so we barely talk now. Then my F went over to a guy's use and did hardcore drugs for a week. Kept going back there. Had naked back rubs. Then her husband sweet up to bring her me. Not sure if she had a manic episode or what. But then she won't accept responsibility and says the guy took advantage of her, and it's a ribble memory for her and that he manipulated her. I don't see that. I don't feel bad for her. She told me that was good right after it happened. Now she tries to say it was rape. I've had that happen before and I was never confused about it or thought it was good. So I don't really believe her. But we're still friends and I just pretend to sympathize with her because I do value our friendship. There's more to it than that. For example, she asked me if they could come by together. I have a young daughter. I don't know this man. I know he's giving her hard drugs, so I said no. She took him to her mom's to meet her. They went out to dinner at least once. This sounds completely voluntary to me. Story 73. Yes and no. I have had friends that I've cut loose for this, but others that I forgave. Humans are complex beings and life is hard. My friend that found out her husband was oaking up with an ex-GF for 6 months and banged her boss got a P. She needed to feel desired and valued, and the marriage was over. Another person at work cheated on his wife with a coworker and got her pregnant. They were both pretty much ostracized. Details, and the rest of a person's character matter. Story 74. I'm friends with several ladies who have cheated and also been cheated on. It's complicated for them. I feel like my role as their friend is to support them. I didn't need to convince them to come clean or anything. They worked that all out on their own. I guess the biggest issue was that they were hurting and cheated, and I wasn't going to leave them as a friend in a time of hurt. Story 75. Yeah? Not sure. Depends if I'm friends with their partner. I would keep it amicable but distant in that case. But I don't know their relationship and what issues they may or may not have had. Cheating is bad, and it makes you a worse person for having done so. But that doesn't make you a bad person to everyone? Story 76. As a close friend, no. As an acquaintance or fun activity friend, sure. I need to be able to trust my close friends. Causing to cheat makes you untrustworthy. Story 77. If you abandon friends for stuff like this, you never were their friends. As long as they ain't committing major crimes or doing immoral stuff like stealing from old PPL, I'm gonna be your friend if you are kind to me, all Mao. Story 78. My old bestie was a serial cheater. We don't talk much anymore. She got mad at me for saying, "What did you expect?" when her boyfriends at the time family started treating her like for cheating on their son. Every time she whined about her love life, I reminded her that she's cheated on all of them. Does that make me a bad friend? Probably. Oh well. Story 79. Sometimes, I'm not super judgy about personal decisions that I know very little about. People have such wildly different circumstances and motivations and ways of connecting with people that there are no universal answers here. If I know the circumstances and its tie, then I would probably note that this person isn't trustworthy and may no longer call them a friend. But generally, things are more complicated that she cheated, so she's a terrible person.